Genesis chapter 13. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And there Abram called on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot,
Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go to the left.
And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of Jordan, that it was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him,
Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward, and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee.
Then Abram removed his tent, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord.
The remains of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah can be seen today. According to the Bible, the cities were located on Jordan's plain, which is the area surrounding the Dead Sea. Flavius and Josephus. According to Flavius and Josephus, 1st century Jewish historians, the remnants of that divine fire and the traces of the 5 cities can still be seen driving along the Dead Sea coastal highway in Israel. One can soon see peculiar formations that are of a lighter color than the surrounding terrain. These cities were consumed by intense flames, a supernatural heat that was directed by God's hand, and today there is ash that is of a lighter color than the surrounding terrain. We move in closer to inspect the unusual features evident on the site of the formation. These swirling designs were also seen in other Ashen formations in the cities. This is evidence of extreme heat, over 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, where thermal ionization occurs when electrons repel and attract, forming these unusual swirling designs. This is evidence of extreme heat, up to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit, where thermal ionization occurs when electrons repel and attract, forming these unusual swirling designs. Strange anomalies can be seen here, such as these fragile layers of material that disintegrate, when touching the limestone buildings in the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah were completely transformed into ash by the consuming fire of the Lord. When God unleashes a consuming fire, it will turn stone into ashes. At the perimeter of this city, one can see this amazing Sphinx still standing today. The Sphinx stands alone as a singular structure for the defined shape this parrot has. In 1989, Ron Wyatt was the first to uncover these cities, and he now details the brimstone discovered here. Okay, we're down at Sodom and Gomorrah, still right in front of you to see some unusual looking spots. Now what we have found, and we'll move in a little closer here, is that inside each of these is sulfur. That is in most of them, but the ones that don't have sulfur have a very black center. Where they have, there's been very hot, but there are millions of these here, so this shows that God indeed rained fire and brimstone upon these cities. And if you look in your dictionary under brimstone, you'll find that it is sulfur. Back over at Gomorrah proper, we can see white passion worship structures built atop an acropolis or high place. Both a sphinx and ziggurat are seen here side by side, much like what we see in Egypt at Giza. But the Sphinx and the pyramids built in close proximity to each other. It is approximately 30 feet long and is quite impressive, both in its shape and size. Resting near it is the ziggurat, symmetrical in shape and also comprised of a special white material. On the outside of the ziggurat we spotted a piece of brimstone fused into the side of the formation using a knife. It was opened, revealing the pure brimstone inside. The most impressive evidence was this cremated bone fragment that was left behind from some lost soul of Gomorrah. The bone marrow inside was cooked until it had turned white, turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, and condemning them to destruction, making them an example of those who afterward would live ungodly. Are we in the will of God, allowing the Holy Spirit to guide us into obedience? Or are we part of the rebellious and lost friend? There is only one way to escape death, and that is through Jesus Christ. Won't you ask him to take over your life today? Think about it. Are we there yet? I was 14 years old at the time. Mom informed me. When she was 14, this is how it was. But she said that things had gotten worse. Then she revealed it to me. You keep a close eye on things. It'll only become worse as you get older. She compared it to the biblical cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's exactly what she stated. She did, however, refer to it as the city of Sodom. So, I'm sharing this with you, since some people are unaware that Sodom and Gomorrah have been discovered. It wasn't simply those two cities that were destroyed. Several cities were destroyed. To a total of 7 cities. Although they are close by, they haven't yet located those. They've been working on it for almost 20 years, so, thank you for taking the time to watch. I'll be posting more on this topic because it's so vital. God's blessings.
And if you don't know, now you know.